In 1964, Masters and Johnsons, the groundbreaking sex researchers, presented us their four-stage model of sexual response, which consisted of excitement, plateau, orgasm, and resolution. Later in 1970s, Helen Singer Kaplan, who was a sex therapist, noticed that this model helped to overcome sexual problems for some of her clients, but not for all. And she concluded that a very important element was missing from that model, and that was sexual desire. So she came up with her own triphasic model of sexual response, which was desire, arousal, and orgasm. And for a few decades, sex therapists, sex researchers were working with that model as a base until late 90s, when Eric Jensen and John Bancroft took us even further on their journey of understanding the mysteries of sexuality, and they came up with a new model that was called a dual control model. And this is the topic of our video today. Stay tuned because it's fascinating. It's very interesting. Before we begin, please consider to subscribe. And let's start. This dual control model applies to both to men and to women. I'm going to take female sexual arousal as a model today because female sexuality is just more complex. I'm sure, as you know from your own life experiences and from watching my videos. I'm sure you've asked yourself one of these questions: why my wife doesn't want to have sex with me, or why I was doing the same thing to her last week or yesterday and she was going wild, and today she doesn't want me at all. Why women lose their sexual attractions towards their longtime partners much faster than men. It's just a fact. Tons of research has been done on this topic. Why male Viagra for men was invented in 1996, and researchers and chemists have been working so hard to produce so-called pink Viagra since then, and all in vain. The answer to these questions will be more clear to you after watching this video. Not completely clear, because sexuality, after all, it's such a mystery. Death is a mystery. Life experiences, birth, stepping into these physical shoes, like where do we come from? There's so much mystery about it all, and it's all interconnected, but it will be more clear to you. So the dual control model consists of two parts. Number one, sexual excitation system, or SES for short. You hear me say that and mention that in my other videos when I say unless she had a high SES or he had a high SES. Sexual excitation system. You can think of it as a gas pedal in the car. So it constantly scans the environment for the sexual stimulus, like both external and internal. So external would be like what you see, what you hear, what you smell, what you taste, like aha, that's sexual relevant, right? And internal, how are you feeling? What are you envisioning? What are your thoughts and feelings are at this particular moment? It is always at work beyond our conscious understanding. Conscious mind, as we know, plays a huge role in our sexual response and sexual arousal. Sometimes we like, okay, I definitely don't want to be with this person, but why? Every time I think about him or look at him, I get wet, right? Or I get a hard for a guy. And the second one is sexual inhibition system, or SIS. Think of it as a brake pedal in your car. It constantly scans your environment for potential danger, and it's like your neurological sexual off or stop sign. So the research shows there are two kinds of brakes. The first one is associated with performance consequences. For example, like getting STIs or getting pregnant, or having social consequences, being ostracized from the society, right? For women is very big. And the second one is associated with performance failure. For example, like, oh, I'm too fat. I'm gonna take my clothes off and he's gonna see me naked and he's never gonna want me again. Or inability to have an orgasm, or I'm not gonna be able to have an orgasm, right? It just like kind of chronic stop sign. Emily says that it's, imagine you're driving in a car with a handbrake. You might still get there, but man, it's so hard. It's a struggle. So that's what the second brake is. If you're having trouble with any phase of your sexual response, it is because of imbalance of accelerator and brakes. We all have them, both cis and cis. Some people are high on both, on cis and cis. Some people are low on both, on cis and in cis. And some people are high on cis and low on cis, and vice versa. High on cis and low on cis. So let's analyze a little bit. At first, it might feel cool, like let's say a woman has a very high cis, means accelerator. She's, a wind blows and she's turned on. She's on the train and the train is rocking and she's turned on, right? She looks at the guy and there's something that interesting about him. She's turned on. So yeah, I mean, it seems like a lot of fun, right? But what it means is that she has a low cis, so she has no fear in her. That means you can get STIs. You most likely are going to have sex, unprotected sex. You're most likely going to have a larger amount of lovers than an average person, and social consequences. And by the way, these sexual consequences are still a big deal. It's not as harsh for women like 50 years ago, 100 years ago, centuries ago. But you know, if you have a child in your hand and you're 16 and you have no support, the father is gone, what's going to happen? To bring a healthy individual in this world, it's still possible, but it's just so much harder, right? 16-year-old girl most likely going to go to work day and night to support this baby. And it affects the development of the society at large. And there's also, of course, shaming, slut shaming. So I was just talking to my 20-year-old friend who is a guy. He's very sexy and he sleeps with everything that moves, and he tells me about his adventures, but then he says, that girl is a hoe, she sleeps with everyone. I said, dude, you sleep with everyone? He goes like, yeah, but I'm a dude. So it's still the story of today. Plus, it's not just men who shame women for their sexuality, it's women onto women. Some women simply feel jealous because of a sexy girl, that she looks sexy. She may not sleep around at all, but they would call her a whore, a slut, because she attracts more attention towards herself than other girls. But if that girl does sleep with one or two guys or more, it's not just the guys who slut shaming her, it's women as well, and sometimes they even more cruel at this. But the good news are that the majority of people are average. It's the same story with length of penises and vaginas. Majority of men have an average size of penis, and majority of women have an average length of their vaginas, right? That means the vast majority of people in the world are compatible with each other, physically compatible. And then of course we have people who are at both ends, at the extremes, who have very long penises and short penises, and very high cis, and low, very low cis and low cis. So can you change your cis and cis? Scientists give us two answers to that. So your cis and cis are the traits that you are born with, and it's kind of like an IQ. It's this container, it's this range of potential that you've been given at birth, and through life experiences you land somewhere within that container. However, your cis and cis are much more fluid and flexible, meaning yes, you can change it. You can diminish your brakes and the things that hold you back to feel turned on, right? For women, it's this shaming, right? It's so common when a woman is afraid to be lusty and wild in bed with her partner because she's afraid that he's gonna disown her, because being slut is simply bad and dangerous. So I can't be a slut for my husband. I can't be slut with someone I don't know, someone I don't care, who I don't know his name. I can be a real slut, but with my husband I have to be a good girl. So that's a type of break, a break. And you can change what your accelerator considers to be sexually relevant. In other words, you can increase sexually relevant things in your life, sexual stimulus. In other words, you can change the almighty context. Context is made of two things: the present moment circumstances. Where am I? Who am I with? Is it familiar or novel? Is it risky or safe? And then internal brain state. Am I relaxed or am I stressed out and have millions of things on my mind? A good friend of mine owns a restaurant and she says, all I care about is money right now. Bringing money in. I'm having sex and I'm thinking about money. I'm having sex and I'm thinking about, do I have enough plates for tomorrow's party? Right? Those are the breaks. Am I feeling trusting? Am I trusted? Am I loved? Do I love? Like, those are internal states. Who has higher CES, higher accelerator gas pedal, men or women? On average, men have higher CES and women are higher on CIS, on the brakes, again, for a good reason. However, women vary more within the group. If you ask 1,000 of women what is the ideal frequency of having sex for them, you would have answers anywhere from 0 to 5 times per day. Whereas for men, it's on average about the same, right? So women are more on the extremes within the group. So, and at last but not least, I will give you an example of how this context thing works. So a husband and a wife are lying in bed and he is caressing her and she just does not want to have sex with him. And he's thinking and she's thinking, what the hell happened? I used to want him so much. And he's thinking, what the hell happened? It used to be so great. Why doesn't she want me right now, right? So rewind the situation 3 years ago. The same situation, the same bed, same environment. He's caressing her, right? And she's hot for him and they have sex 3 times a day. What has changed? What's changed is that they have 2 little children right now, and she's finishing her MBA, and she's also working 30 hours a day. She's exhausted and stressed about her exams and in her masculine energy, right? Because you're tending to kids, you're in your masculine, constantly solving problems and doing things for someone else, right? She forgets sometimes how to be a woman, how to relax, right? And just receive. So what has changed? The external circumstances are kind of the same, not really, right? You're in the same room, in the same bed, with the same men, but you have 2 little children that can burst into crying any second. And another thing that really affects female sexual arousal is how women feel in their own body. I know it with talking to many women, and myself included. When I gain weight, I feel uncomfortable, like, oh, why is this fold here? But when I'm in my ideal weight, which I'm not right now, I don't need a lot of external stimulus, sexual stimulus. I turn myself on, right? It's very important how a woman feels inside of her body. So in going back to the example, her internal brain state is changed completely. She's worried about her studies, she's worried about the job, she's worried about her kids, she's exhausted. She does not want to have sex. So context has changed. I think this is it for today, gentlemen, because I'm getting tired. We will be... All right, gentlemen, this is it for today. I'm getting tired. My camera got tired, got turned off. The battery died. I had to recharge it. I just want to say goodbye. Thank you for being here. Please subscribe, like this video. Don't forget to like it if you liked it. Share it. Share it with anyone who needs it. And check out my free offerings down below. I'll see you next week. Thank you. Mwah.